Hi, everyone. Raj Gavrolo. Welcome to Experiencing Intelligent Breakthroughs in Your Performance and Life. And this week, we're continuing with my 7 strategies to solve a performance gap. And after the first 2 strategies, if you haven't seen the 2 videos prior to this, you can go back and look at those. But the first one was identifying and proving the gap. And then the second one is to use modeling or to model. The third strategy is application of the learning. Application of the learning. Now, as a keynote speaker, a presenter in my workshops, I sometimes look and I'm often after the keynote, we need to have another session or a coaching session to build on what was in the keynote. The keynote sets the tone. It gives the framework, the outline. And a lot of times it stands by itself. I have several keynotes that stand by themselves because what people do is they use those stories, those points, and they take them and they customize them, they edit them, they get little phrases, epiphanies while I'm speaking, and then they go about implementing them in their work, in their life, in their profession, on their team, in their company, wherever it may be. And so that's one way of doing it, right? And so you are directly applying the learning. Now you can customize it and you can adapt it and use it in the way that's best for your specific situation, right? Because when I'm speaking to a group of people, I don't necessarily know their specific situation. I have an idea on why, obviously, the client booked me. I mean, what are the objectives? And then from there, because all these people are somehow affiliated or associated with that client, then I deliver my material, and therefore I then can talk with them one-on-one for their specific situation or do something for their organization, whether it's a workshop, a keynote, coaching sessions, consulting, whatever it may be. So that's very important that you apply the learning. I mean, how many of you have gone to class? I mean, in school, I used to sit in some classes and I used to think, especially when before college, I'm in this class just because it's required. I don't foresee me being an author. I didn't foresee me being an expert that speaks professionally. None of that. Okay. None of that while I was sitting in English class doing some of the other things that I did. I mean, I just did it. I mean, it just never was put to me in that way. But today, I use all of it, literally all of it. And so it's just one of those things. And I'm glad that I did pay attention, but I didn't apply the learning as directly as I could have. And in fact, your ability to communicate and write and express yourself and all of those things in literature and articles and all of that is essential, right? Regardless of what kind of job you do, regardless of what your life is. And obviously, depending upon your role or your responsibilities and your job, it could be more useful. And so obviously I have started to revisit some of those things. And today I work on all sorts of different things, including my vocabulary. I'm an avid reader. I became an author. I've written a book. I've written several workbooks. I've written a manual. I'm writing another book. So my point is that the learning is there, but are you applying the learning? See, that's the key for human performance, life, and organizational breakthroughs. Are you applying the learning? Sometimes I hear people and they'll attend a session and they go in with the mindset of, well, I'm here because I need to be, or I have to be, or it's required, and they don't really get the whole gist of it. They understand they have to, but they don't know how to take the learning per se and implement it. I mean, obviously they do some, but not to a full extent. And I think that's where a lot of people can help. And this is what I do with my clients as well, on how to apply that learning and why. When you know why and how to apply it so that you receive more from it, you gain the benefits, the effects from applying it, that's when it becomes exciting, right? That's when it becomes exciting. But what happens sometimes is that people are just there for their own reasons sometimes. Some people are like, well, I'm just checking it out, see what this is about. So they checked it out, they saw what it's about. And, if they want to pursue more, they can, but that's their why, sort of. But, they have some other incentives and desires from that. And obviously they do receive those. However, one of the activities that I have clients do, etc., is that regardless if I'm coming in there to assess your situation, and even if you meet with me one-on-one, whatever you've been learning and all that, I'm all for you learning from other people and things like that, because I am in a niche, right? I can't do everything. I can really help you on human performance, life, and organizational breakthroughs. And even if you don't know what your goals are, or your dreams, or your breakthroughs, what you're looking to break through, I mean, I can help you determine that. But most people that come to me, they have an idea of what it is that they want to accomplish, what their goals are, what a breakthrough they're looking for, etc. What a problem of theirs is, a challenge that if it weren't there, they think they can do better, they can perform better, they can do better, have performance improvement, achieve a breakthrough, achieve a goal, get to the next level of success, etc. And so the application of learning is essential. So I actually ran into this again. And I ran into this. And I couldn't figure it out. And here's the scenario. It has to do with nutrition. I eat right. I exercise. So, I'm in very good physical condition. I really am. Could I be better? Sure. But it's a process, and I've been making progress from where I was before. In fact, you'll hear more about this a little later, but I achieved a breakthrough, and I'll talk about it in my zone effect, which is part of this video. But here it is. I was eating candy, which I'm very careful not to eat much of, but I was eating the sour, almost like lifesaver type of candy. And they were tangy and I liked them, and I'm sure they had sugar in them. And, I can eat one and, have that pleasure effect and all of that because of the taste and everything. But I started to eat like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I was doing that for like 2, 3 days. And then all of a sudden I was noticing, like at work, my concentration wasn't as good. When I played tennis, my concentration wasn't as good. I was being distracted more. And I couldn't figure it out because I had been making progress. Obviously, this is my expertise. So obviously, I know how to do that. And so I've been really pleased with my progress, completing my workbook, doing my evaluations, reflecting, doing all the things I'm supposed to do. Working on the words or sprucing up the words and the questions I ask myself so that I'm in the right mindset and all these things. And so it's like, wow, what's going on? And so here's what I did when I reflected in the application of learning. I looked at my nutrition and I was like, Raj, have you been eating these sour, high sugar candies? The answer was yes. When I knew that, I stopped doing it. And now I'm back to being able to not be distracted or affected by that. I couldn't figure it out because it wasn't making any sense. But that's an example of application of the learning. That affects me in all aspects of life because sugar has a very high reactive, especially refined sugar, with anything in your body, with your hormones, with your body chemical composition, if you're on supplements or herbs or taking medication. A lot of sugar has very dangerous or harmful reactions to all of that. So when I realized that, I stopped it, and now everything is much easier, right? It's a lot easier. So that's one application, right? The other application is just these videos. I mean, at the beginning, you can go back to my website and see the first couple of videos I did. The content was good, very good. Some might think excellent. However, you can tell that I was still applying the learning and getting used to talking to you all out there in front of this camera in my office. I mean, and so it took a little while. And now if you look at my videos, I'm a lot more natural looking. I show you that I can speak, just like obviously you see that right off the bat when you see me, or if you see me on the stage at a conference, at a convention, wherever it may be, right? So that's very, very essential. So the application of learning. So, you know, if you're getting a workbook or something, or someone at work is giving you something to help you as a tool, and you're not even trying it like it's supposed to be used for at least 2 weeks, and then evaluating it, or maybe even evaluate it after 1 week, just so you can sort of get a good sense of, okay, now let me do 1 more week and see really what the benefits are, then you're not really supporting yourself. You're giving your brain that thing in your mind says to you, okay, this is a little bit detail oriented, or this is, you know, sort of easy and simple. Isn't it supposed to be harder than this? No, it's not. It's just that we think it is, so therefore we make it harder and we think that it won't work. Now, it's fair if after a week and after evaluating it in 2 weeks, and then you evaluate, you haven't made any type of progress, then sure, then it's just something that's not a fit for you. But if you don't have that agreement with whoever it is that's providing the resource, whether it's me or someone else, or if you're providing a resource to somebody, then it's going to be difficult, right? There's very few things that are just, that are great things that are just, okay, grab it and use it. You know, you need to apply the learning. Even if you like try to hammer a nail into the wall, right? Well, you know that sometimes you don't do it right and the nail bends. But after you learn how to do it, you might tap it a little and then hit it harder, depending upon what the application is, what the surface is, right? All of these things, right? It's called, the research is called a successive approximation. So you sort of learn by applying it, right? By doing it, by experiencing, experiential learning. So that's what I mean. Here's another tip. For those of you, and I work with lots of clients, if you're having like concentration issues, and I don't know anyone who couldn't better their concentration or make it easier for them to concentrate or focus. I don't know anyone that couldn't use that help really, especially in our world. But I was talking with someone who was over at the house helping us with some items, and she had a sister. And I don't know if this will work, but I know I do this with my clients, and I was just wanting to help her, and I know it has worked for me. So her sister has ADHD. And you might not have any type of clinical diagnosis, but you still want to work on your concentration. And it's better than going and taking supplements and all that if you could have a strategy or a tool that you could use. So what I told her about this tool is, I said, okay, this is what you do. Watch a tennis match. You could watch a basketball game, football game, whatever you like to watch. Maybe it's a I don't know what else that's non-sports related that you could really do this with. But I'm sure there are some things. Well, yeah, just maybe you completing all the 20 items on to get completed for a milestone. Okay. Well, while you're doing that, keeping score in a tennis match, let's say, for example, I could keep the score, but it was challenging for me to keep the score for more than like 4 games, 3 games, not to mention a whole set. That means like anytime I ask myself, what's the score? I know the score. Or anytime somebody else were to ask me, I know the score. See, what would happen is in between points while they were rallying, my concentration would focus on other things of performance in tennis, like, oh yeah, I feel how he's the mood, or I feel like the crowd, or I see that, he's struggling, or I see that he's doing amazing, he's in the zone, or she's in the zone, whatever it may be. Or I think about something else that had nothing to do with tennis, right? I mean, sometimes that diverted thinking. And so here's what I did. It's called trackability. I'll say it again, trackability, or track it. So in other words, in between the points, what I did, instead of just keeping score, I literally said, serve down the middle, cross-court forehand, cross-court forehand, cross-court backhand, inside-out forehand, back and forth for each player. Now, I didn't use forehand and backhand because they hit the ball so fast that you can't do it. There's too many words. But I would just be like, wide serve, cross-court, 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 down the line, inside out, inside in, lob, smash. And I did that for every point, and I was able to easily do a set. Easily do a set. So you can do this as a strategy, and it literally transformed my mindset, my mind. The dendrites, the connections, everything. I could literally feel it much better than any video game or any game online. A lot better. A lot better. So you can go on YouTube and watch a tennis match doing this. Or you can do it during a basketball game. He passes it to the left, he dribbles right, he passes it to his teammate. His teammate shoots the ball, they grab the rebound. Okay, it's down the score, so it's 2-0 now. And then the other team, okay, and you keep doing that. And you'll see just amazing, because what's happening with trackability is that you're keeping your concentration on where it needs to be, or your focus where it needs to be, with a strategy or an activity that has to do with what's happening in the moment. Or some people call that mindfulness. Some people call that being present. I like to call it the zone, because when you're in the zone, you notice all these things as well. And so that is a key strategy for you, a technique, a tactic for you to use. And you can use this on the 20 items before a milestone, trying to get all of that taken care of to get to that milestone. And you sit there and you're thinking about the 5th milestone when you're still on the 3rd, and things like that. Okay, so how to do that, and this is a way to do it. So when you're on the third, think about only the tactics and the strategy to accomplish the third, and the fourth and the fifth will come to you when it's time. Don't start thinking about them, the fourth and fifth, while you're doing the third. And so you need a way to do that. And so that's the way to do it, with tractability. Okay, with tractability. So for you out there who are challenged with concentration, focus, or you may have a child who is, test this, use this. Give me your feedback. I love to hear personal success stories, especially in breakthroughs. There's no supplements required, no medication required, no, I just can't concentrate. That's just me. None of that. The brain and the mind and your mindset has infinite growth. You just need the tools, the strategy, the technique, and the tactics. And that's what my expertise is. So that's what I have for you this week. As you all know, the zone is when you're making a performance breakthrough or performance improvement. You're experiencing something that's greater than where you'd been before, that's better. And everything is in slow motion, and time is not a deterring factor, and it feels effortless. In fact, once I had that technique, that tactic, or that strategy of trackability, it was so easy for me to tell you the score. I did the whole set, got 100%. Wow. And so what is my zone effect this week? My zone effect this week is I set a record doing planks. A plank is when you look like you're doing a push-up, but you don't go down. You just hold it. And it doesn't matter how long I held it. I just know for myself that I set a record. Now, here's what's amazing about that. One is that I'd never done a plank for that long. Okay? That's one. So that's a breakthrough right there. That's a record. Two is that as I'm doing that, what's happening? My shoulder muscles, all of these things, they are becoming stronger, obviously, right? My back muscles, my glutes, my torso, my core, they're all being stronger. But I did it in a breakthrough process of mine. So, let's just say that I could do a plank for a minute. Well, this time I was over 2 minutes for sure. Okay. So, I doubled it. That's 100% increase. Okay. I doubled it. Wow. Now, when I could only do it for a minute, do you think I was thinking about doing it for 2 minutes? No. And do you think 2 minutes came just like that? No. I had a breakthrough process. And that includes my workbook, and that includes some other things I do. Now, here was the unexpected success. By being able to do planks, it made it easier for me to do push-ups. And that's why you heard last week, I think it was last week, maybe this week, that I had a breakthrough in push-ups. It might have been the week before, actually. But I had a breakthrough in push-ups, right? I set a record. Wow. See, that's when it starts to become rewarding, fun, and enjoyable. And do you think this helps me in my work? Yes. Do you think this helps me in my sports? Yes. Do you think this helps me in my relationships, in my family life, with my friends, with the community? Yes. Why? Because it shows that I can use the same type of breakthrough process with what it is that I'm doing at work, professionally, personally, in relationships, in my life, etc. So that's what I have for you this week. I hope you have a meaningful trigger. Tonight I have a board meeting, so that's my meaningful trigger. And if something here resonates with you, it helped you, we can do more. You can contact me at 864-569-2315 or Raj at rajgavrila.com.